I want to talk to you about enabling transformation. I've shown this picture right up front. In this picture, I want to talk about the spark, the change. Whenever I talk about spark or light, people always associate that with the matchstick. But I want to suggest that there's also a matchbox behind the matchstick. The enabling environment which makes the change happen. Let me start by talking about traffic. If you ask any foreigner or any NRI, non-resident Indian, coming to India, ask them to talk about traffic, they'll definitely tell you that it's chaotic, unruly, insane. They can't believe how anyone goes from one point to the other. Well, if you go back to the person who's actually going on the opposite side of a one-way street, or if you talk to the person who is crossing the red light and ask them, why are you doing this? Why are you actually going the wrong way in a one-way street? The auto rickshaw guy will say, sir, the petrol bunk is right there. And you expect me to go all this way, make a U-turn and come back for that petrol bunk? I'm trying to save gas. He won't understand why he should not go the opposite direction. If you ask the guy why he's going on a red light and going straight in the red light, he says, sir, look, there's nobody on this side. In fact, I'll be blocking the rest of the traffic if I remain here. There's a lot more reason for me to go this side. It's kind of make room for others to flow. So he thinks it's logical, it makes sense, and he should, in fact, go and cross this red light. So for people who are actually part of that chaos, it makes total sense to be doing what they're doing. But if you ask the people who are looking at it from top down, if you ask them, how do you go about bringing that change, the change that you're talking about? They say, well, you have to train the citizens. You have to teach them the rules. You have to incentivize them. You have to actually monitor them and police them, and that's how you're going to go about bringing a change. But if you think about it, all these aspects are focused on the individual. And if you remind them that, look, I have many people that I have to actually connect and change, then they say, well, many is just many instances of one person. A university is nothing but an institution designed for one student multiplied n number of times. A hospital is nothing but an institution designed for one patient multiplied by 200 beds. A country is nothing but a set of institutions designed for one citizen multiplied n number of times. But actually, a society is much more complex than that. As a complex system, you'll notice it's not just individuals at work, but their interrelationships are also in play. And when you consider these interrelationships in a complex environment, there are emergent properties that come out. The whole is bigger than the sum of the parts. Culture and democracy, for example, are not in one individual, but they come about when you bring all of the people together. So we have to look at the macro environment and then connect it with the individual, and that's how we go about bringing a change. Going back to traffic, if you ask this non-resident Indian or the foreigner who's commenting on our traffic, they would be looking at our traffic from their developed, mature system perspective. Their view is from their experience and their bias. So it's top down. But if you look at our perspective, us being in the developing system, in the developing country, in the developing environment, for us, the view is different. Of course, in a hierarchy, you can also talk about underdeveloped systems, underdeveloped countries, underdeveloped institutions. But for us to grow, we have to have the green arrow of looking up. Bottom-up approach is necessary. So in the macro environment, we have to look at the rising green arrow. Some time ago, I purchased a Qualis. And I brought this car home, and I gave the keys to my driver. And he takes the car keys, and the first thing that he does is he changes the horn. He says, "Sir, this horn won't work." I said, "But this is Japanese technology. This is brand new car." And he says, "Yes, but that's the problem. It has a wimpy horn. It has not been designed for Indian roads." He says, "Here in India, we have a different requirement." So the bottom up green arrow here was that he needed the roots horn. It's not just the enabling environment that's necessary for this transformation. We also need indigenous bottom-up solutions, strategies. And when you couple these together, that's when change can happen. Now, ideas can be universalized. But what I'm finding in my own work is that implementation needs to be contextualized. In the industry, we're actually going global. Actually, the economy is big, booming. And the feedback that we're getting, the feedback that our staff, our people are getting, is that we need to be more confident. We need to assert ourselves, speak our mind, be direct and to the point. And remember, a yes means a commitment and a promise. This is what they're asking us to remember and improve in ourselves. But when you ask them, how are you going to go about bringing these type of changes? The answer is, we will train. We will train the individual. We will coach. We will mentor the individual. But unfortunately, you can't make change happen just by changing the individual. You have to look at the ecosystem as well. I want to talk to you about 2 examples that I picked up that talk about this enabling environment. First is traffic. I started off with traffic. You'll notice that traffic needs to be improved. We want to develop it. We have a lot more cars on the road. We want to look at the traffic. First thing people do is they start putting the lanes and educating the drivers. We talk about following the lane discipline, and we instruct. But is this sufficient? Have we seen a change because now drivers are more aware of these rules? Is this going to bring about a transformation? It is necessary, but it's not sufficient to talk to the person. Here in traffic, this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing lanes being divided, divider in the middle. We're seeing the barricades, the movable barricades. We're seeing the fines and the cameras, and now the ropes and the cones. This is how the transformation is happening. It will take time, but not just training the individual, but putting that enabling environment is necessary. I want to talk about another example that I picked up in my rural development work. India is home to about 680,000 or so villages. A lot of villages. And these villages have poor amenities, poor access roads, little connectivity, less electricity, no water. They suffer. I want to focus on one particular village called Gangadevpalli. It's near Warangal, and it's in the state Andhra Pradesh of India. We found this story here to be quite compelling. The village head here is Rajamouli. He has no MBA. He has no formal education. But the transformation he brought about in this village was so phenomenal that he has won many, many awards. In this case, the enabling environment for him was first formation of committees. Imagine just about 1,500 to 2,000 households, and this man here is first talking about forming committees. He has a committee for prevention of plastic and polythene bags. He has a committee for toilet usage, tap water, alcohol, and family planning. He has 16 committees. Then he holds his meetings at night. He says he gets maximum attendance at night. So he holds his meetings at night. And for communication purposes, of course, you can't imagine these households with emails or SMSs. They actually communicate through a PA system, posters, and some personal interactions. I want to focus on one particular change he has brought about and how he brought about that. And this might explain what I mean by enabling environments. Talk about toilets. Of course, in rural India, people use the wild open space to relieve themselves. There are no formal structures where they actually take a bath or use the toilet facilities. A World Bank report was saying that India is actually having a loss of $54 billion because of poor hygiene. So there's a lot of interest from the government to build toilets and increase the awareness of health and hygiene. This is the target. Indian villages need to have more personal toilets and better hygiene. This is what they want. So as a community leader, they have taken up this idea of constructing toilets in their villages. Now, how do you go about transforming the village, which is so used to using the open space, to now use toilets? So this is the challenge. First thing he did, he communicated this idea with his team members. Then they had this Gram Sabha, which is the village town hall meeting. And they started educating and bringing into awareness the health and hygiene consequences and importance of all this. Then he drafts this plan. They put together this idea that if you come with us on this journey and make a change right up front now, then you can get in for less than $30. 1,000 rupees and you'll have a toilet of your own. But if you wait until it's construction time, then the price goes up. So the supplies are coming in. If you wait and you're an undecided citizen, then if you want to build a toilet after the supplies come in, then the price is 1,500 rupees. But you may think twice and wait, and you may be a laggard, and you might want this toilet in your house only after many people, many of your neighbors start having a toilet. Then the cost for you would be double, 2,000. Then he started this payment scheme where he says, come early, save money, make the change happen. He enabled the change to happen by giving this kind of pricing scheme. The cost, if you want to make the toilet after it has been all set up and done, is actually 5,500 rupees. So it's 5 times more. This man, with this scheme, got 100% compliance in 3 months. This is phenomenal. But of course, what's more interesting is that though they all had toilets, they were not using the toilets. Though it took only 3 months to actually set up the toilets, it actually took them 3 years to get them to use the toilets. Here, the enablement came in by having posters and parades and mic announcements and some sort of policing and challans and ticketing. With all this, he created social pressure. He built that pressure, and the change finally took 3 years to happen. But now, the data is in, and it's amazing what kind of results he has shown. If you look at the condition of villages, generally, only about 35 million people are paying their property taxes. Literacy is only at 67.7%. If you look at the rest of the areas, they're very low and poor. But in Gangadevpalli, 100% literacy, 100% mineral water to their doorstep, 100% toilet use, which is kind of awkward, 100% payment of electricity bills, 100% repayment of microfinance loans. This is a phenomenal transformation by creating that environment. Even we don't enjoy, in the city, even we don't enjoy mineral water or clean drinking water to our doorstep. but in this village, they have clean drinking water to their doorstep. In fact, the population, 40% of the population is now new population. People are wanting to move into this village. He's created an environment of growth in that village. When the government was talking about having women empowerment, when they were just discussing it, this whole village elected sarpanch, which is the village head, and also elected all village officials to be women. In fact, this story continued for 2 years. Now, in this village, they have diversity and inclusion, which is what a lot of corporates are aspiring to do. And all because he has created an enabling environment and not just focusing on one person. It's a complex system that we're working in. So the story, if you look at it, is not just about becoming a leader, not just about becoming a hero. You have to facilitate the change and make change happen. You have to build the systems. These are the committees. The village head now has just become a facilitator, and the committee heads are now strong, and they are the next generation leaders. I told you that I wanted to talk to you about Rajamouli and his story, but actually, it's a story about the system that he has built. It's not about the hero, it's about the leader. Now, it's not just about the systems that he has built, but it's about the youth and the next generation that is going to leverage this system and bring in future transformation. India is 55% young. We have many, many youngsters. What we need is an environment where we can build and grow and change and build new leaders. We need those systems. We need those enabling environments in which change can happen. That means not only do we need to work with the matchstick, but we also need to work with the matchbox, the enabling environment. And the solution is with us, in us, all around us. And that's how I believe we can make a change happen. Thank you.